This is Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick. Thanks to NRMA Insurance and Uniden.
That's who bring us the show, NRMA Insurance, a help company helping Australians protect what matters for almost 100 years. NRMA Insurance is one of Australia's largest insurers of electric vehicles in Australia. And Uniden Smart Dash Cams, some great dash cams on the market, some great products from Uniden as well, but dash cams for every single car.
Yeah.
You've got two cars in the driveway, one's an EV, one's a petrol car. Get a dash cam for both.
Both need them. Yeah.
I had a call
award-winning dash
on
cams.
On the EFTM podcast recently.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you when it went into the feed, but it's around now.
Yep.
Mate, he was unrelated. We were talking about something like TVs, and he said, mate, yesterday I got T-boned. And no, road rage. Yesterday I had this bloke, abuse me and punch me through the window in road rage. And I said, did you have a dash cam? He goes, no, mate. Which one do I buy? We went, mate, Uniden Dash View series, very nice, great product. So look, there's a lot of reasons why to have a dash cam.
Absolutely.
Because I said to him, mate, it wouldn't have recorded the bloke in the side window, but it would have recorded the audio. It would have recorded him getting out of the car in front, coming to the car, and whatever he said to you through the window.
Yeah, would have recorded his approach, front or back. There's a pretty wide field of view there.
And it was the first thing the police asked him.
Really?
Because here's the worst part about it. He said he could have got out his phone, took a photo of the car in front, got to the police station, the photo was blurry as heck.
Oh, no.
So
the
cops said, did you have a dash cam?
4K, so you can get very high resolution.
We're going to talk electric motorbikes on this show. That is coming up. Not something I have any experience with, Stephen.
And it's still called Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars, but we are
electric
talking
vehicles.
Motorbikes.
Well, let's just call today's show electric vehicles. And we're going to take your calls as well on 0477 657 657. Now, I got a weird email. And I know I get a lot. We get a lot of random PR emails, right? But this one clearly from, I'm pretty sure, America, from a legal group, lawyers. And it was titled, Which EVs Struggle Most in Winter? Now, the data is irrelevant to me because it talks about the number of crashes during all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But there was a bunch of information in this email which got me thinking about winter and how temperatures affect range. Now, it's not winter now. Happy New Year, folks. But look, the data here, and I don't know how to verify this data. This email doesn't really talk about how they got the data, but let's just run with it for this experiment. But they say that verified winter range loss as a percentage, the Tesla Model Y lose 52% of its range. I find that hard to believe.
52%.
Now, this may be in America or, the Arctic.
You got to remember the cold that they mention is different to the cold we experience.
Course.
So you're talking cold where it's like snowing and below zero. That's cold.
This is interesting, though. The Hyundai Ioniq, 3%. The Kia EV6, 7%.
Wow.
Jaguar I-Pace, 3%. Hyundai Kona, 16%. And then Volkswagen Golf, 12%. Mark E Ford, 37%. But the point I wanted to take out of that was I didn't think about the fact that there's variance between manufacturer to manufacturer. And I think that would be based on different things like, A, the type of cell, B, the way it's packaged in the car, C, the way it's heated or cooled, because those things, some cars heat and cool their batteries as a normal part of running. And then there's just the concept of preconditioning, which we'll get to. Yeah. But I actually want to raise this because I think we've definitely talked about it before in the last year, but I don't think we talk about it enough. Yeah. The range you're getting today in your car is different to the range you'll get in June. Yeah. Doesn't matter whether you're listening in the Northern Hemisphere or Southern, it's going to be different.
Yeah. So the power output, the battery's energy output is lower. In cold
and look,
temperatures.
We've talked about my experience. It happened in 2018. We broke down, didn't make it to the destination in an electric car because it was for freezing cold, snowing, and uphill. And so even accounting for the uphill, the range was depreciated by, I was told at the time, I remember reaching out to Renault, who had a little car called the Zoe, and they said on our website, there is a disclaimer or a little thing that says, range varies in winter and, it might be 25% loss. So 25% is a big difference to what you normally think your range is going to be. I think that's a really important thing to think about because it's also, and I haven't got any data on this, but I believe it's probably the same but not as dramatic with heat. Yeah. Because I didn't, mate, what about this? We were talking about solar panels previously, but I didn't realise that your solar panels are not as efficient in the hottest of days. Yeah. There's actually kind of an optimum number. So Your battery is going to vary.
Yeah.
And it reminds me that the number, when you get in the car, turn it on or push the button, you get a battery percentage and then you get a range. Yeah. And I had to have this conversation with Jackson. I said, mate, you're going to drive 200 Ks, right? Where the car will tell you it's got 550 Ks range because I've been driving around town. But just note, that's different.
That's different on the road.
And now, again, if you say to yourself, oh, good, I did 200 Ks and it was only 20% of my battery. Well, in winter, that 200 Ks is going to have a different impact on your battery.
30% of your battery. Yeah, right. Well, it's there's the term preconditioning, which a lot of people don't know exists on a lot of their cars.
Yeah.
I remember with my Tesla, I would often, as soon as I put it in the nav system, there's no CarPlay on a Tesla, so you're using the car's navigation system. It would already precondition the battery. So
so the car knows where you're going, right?
Knows where you're going, warm things up, so when you get there, the charge takes a little bit longer. Now, I started doing this with my Model S when it used to take, I used to go to the supercharger and I had free supercharging, so I was going to go there. And it would take normally, 40 minutes to charge my car.
Right.
When I discovered the preconditioning, I said, okay, this feature is going to help me. It knocked about 5 minutes off the charge because it was ready to go. It was hot to trot, ready to go. And the charge, then it went a little bit faster. So
I've never done it on the Kia. I know it's in the option settings.
I've got it on my Mercedes.
I haven't checked whether or not if you use the inbuilt nav, like if you press charger and then navigate there or whatever, whether it does that. But I guess that's another really good tip, and it goes also to my comments over time about educating your family on how to drive. I don't want to have to tell my wife that when you're halfway to young, you should precondition the battery before you get to gas. Like you just imagine trying to tell someone
just an extra layer. Of
just no. Yeah. So you don't have to do it, but it does create an efficiency of charging because what it does. Remember, we talk often about, and Elon's analogy is. When the battery is close to full, the electrons need to find space. I just use car park, right? It's a car park. When you get the first person there, it's easy. You find a spot, you get in it. When you're the 1,500th person out of 1,600, it's like you got to drive up and down to find those empty spots. What I think, if we could describe it to people, preconditioning is like, you know what? We're going to move all the cars down so that when you drive in,
so it's easier to find a spot.
The spots are there.
Yeah. Straight away. You
preconditioning gets your battery ready for the juice to come in.
That's
and it means if you ever watch the charger go, your rate of charge from 30 to 40 to 70 to 80 to 120 or whatever, you'll get to the higher peak rate of charging faster. Yep. So instead of taking 10 minutes to get from 0 to 75 kilowatt charging, which might be its maximum for that charger, you might only take 5 because you've preconditioned, and that's where you're doing that time saving.
Yeah. On my Mercedes, it has the preconditioning feature. You can start it on the app.
Yep. Same.
Or in the infotainment system. Yeah, so it's just a matter of remembering to do it.
Let me ask you about the app. How often do you use it?
I use it a lot.
Really?
I use it a lot to see
state of charge.
My state of charge.
SOC.
I also like to. I get some notifications through there as well. Like if I haven't locked my car,
I was
say,
just
your car's not locked.
Say the number one use of the Kia app for me.
Lock the car. Yeah.
The car is unlocked, and here's the funny thing: I take the Mickey out of my wife every third day because she doesn't lock the car, and then I log in and lock it. And then you know what? I get text message when I take the Kia. She'll be like, "Why didn't you lock the car?" Because I didn't lock it. So she loves to rub it back into me because the other one we get on the Kia is your car has reached an idle state. So if you're sitting at the school for 10 minutes, with the car running because it's just on, listening to the radio or whatever, it'll send a bloody text message. So she gets that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's the problem having you both logged into the same app. Wow. So my wife gets none of my notifications, just to be clear.
Yeah, she's also never driven the car. Yeah. And
she's been driven around in the car, though.
Oh, yeah. No.
She's been chauffeured in my car many times.
The option to start conditioning the car, like your aircon and stuff. Yep. Start the climate control.
Can't find it?
No, it's there. But I only ever remember that exists when I get in the car and it's really hot. Like, we should have done that, Yeah. But there is. I've got to start conditioning and stop conditioning.
Yeah, but is that the climate control or to precondition the battery?
No, I'm saying I've got both. Those climate control. I'm just thinking I should be using it more for the climate control, but I don't. And I've never preconditioned the battery because it just doesn't worry me that much.
Yep.
But it's fascinating the number of things you can do with a car through an app now. But I think most people probably not.
Yeah, I think it's becoming. I think all electric cars definitely have. You're more aware of the app, and it becomes more part of your use of the car.
I'm going to take a 360 photo. If there's anyone outside my house, they're going to freak out because the car unlocks, the mirrors come out, and then it takes the 360 photo.
Okay.
Because then you can
warn
see
the neighbours.
It's a great thing. I don't know if many other cars have it, but I know Kia and Hyundai have it where you can take the photo. Oh, Ford has it as well. BMW too. Because you're like, where did I park? So you can actually kind of get a sense of what's around the car by looking at the 360 cameras.
Yeah, I got the 360 cameras on my car too.
Remote? Can you do it remote?
Don't think so.
Mate,
I think maybe
what are you doing, Mercedes?
But in the car, you can look at the car from over there.
Oh,
it's like it's like someone's filming your car.
That doesn't help me find the car if I don't know where it's parked in the car park.
I know you've been locating the car. Oh yeah, I can do that.
No, I'm saying take a photo
of where it is
of the car. So I'm taking a photo right now of the car in my driveway,
right?
Which I assume where it is.
Yeah. Okay.
I check Live 360 as well as the app.
Okay. I'll have to have deeper dive.
So look, preconditioning. Do it when you remember, but it's not an essential. But on a road trip, I think it's a really good thing to do on a road trip.
Yeah, because you can save a few minutes of charging time, which is always good.
But also you're helping other people because it means that you're not there for as long.
Yeah, that's right. Well, saving the charge time. That is handy for you and the person next to you, the person after you.
Just if you've only bought an EV in the last little while, when it comes wintertime, brace yourself, folks.
Yeah, but it's not like we live in Arctic conditions. Like there'll be people maybe listening to this show in far North Queensland. They go, "What's winter?"
Yeah,
they don't know. They don't. That's not going to really affect them.
My car. I'm just looking around the car now.
Okay, yeah, right.
I can see that it's parked in the driveway.
Creepy.
Yeah. She's got it nice and close.
You going
to
to do this if Jackson borrows the car one time, mate? Or?
I check the car now and then when Jacko's got it. The Cooper doesn't have an app, lucky for him.
Okay. So this is only outside the car it looks at, not inside. Not inside the car.
The dash cam that I have, I can listen in on live.
Remotely?
Yeah.
Oh, you're creepy. Creepy, Dad. When Jackson asked to borrow the car, do you say, Dad, okay, but please don't be listening in on my conversations?
I wouldn't do that. That would be a breach of his privacy, and I don't feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah, good.
Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. We'd love to know what your favourite feature of your car's app is, if your car has an app, or is that a deal breaker for you? Like
there's got to be an app.
The Cooper doesn't have an app. It's not a deal breaker for me because I don't need it.
Doesn't have an app?
No.
Cooper at all?
In England they do, but the variant they brought here doesn't have the modem. It doesn't have the SIM card.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They cheaped out.
Does that bother you? Or?
Not at all.
Right.
I've never
doesn't
once
affect
gone,
your driving
that's
pleasure.
disappointing.
Right. Yeah.
Not once. The only thing that it means is
so you can't check your charge level on your car now?
No. That module that they neglected also allows for wireless Apple CarPlay. So the Cooper doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay.
So it's a choice of wireless. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So I
is there something you can do to upgrade it? Maybe do an upgrade or?
You know what? I just plug the little wireless Apple CarPlay dongle in.
Yeah, right. Okay.
What am I caring?
Yeah, I understand.
And in reality, the apps are awesome. They're fun. They're great.
Yeah.
But I know what the charge state is of my car pretty much all the time.
Just in the memory bank, is it? Just remember.
I know what's going on.
Because I sort of roughly know, but I need to check with the app, and it tells me my mileage and all that as well. Yeah.
Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Get in touch, 0477 657 657. Thank you for listening to Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Great to be with you. Great to have your company. Thank you for listening wherever you are. And if you want to get in touch, send us a text or a WhatsApp, 0477 657 657. Love talking to...
You could be on the show.
Anyone. Prospective EV owner, EV hater. We're yet to get one. I'm desperate for it, though, I'll be honest.
I'm keen to talk to someone who would just have a frank discussion about EVs. And
I think people have
why they don't like them.
Probably read my social media and realised I don't do frank discussions very well.
That's why I could be the moderator.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I'll be the moderator. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to change gears. Pardon the irrelevant pun because gears don't exist. Well, they do in a Porsche Taycan. But I wonder if they do in electric motorbikes.
Yes.
Now, I think you would have seen a couple around at CES. I've seen a couple of brands.
Certainly have.
I know Harley-Davidson have done an electric motorbike, but Zero Motorcycles is a company I want to understand more about. And one man who knows that is Tom Reynolds from Zero Motorcycles in Australia. G'day, Tom.
G'day, team. How are we, gents?
Mate, really good. Tell us what we know nothing. We're coming at this from nothing, and I think our listeners are probably thinking, I think I've heard about electric bikes, but let's be clear, we're not talking about the e-scooters and stuff. You're talking about proper motorcycles.
Proper motorbikes.
full spec. You need the full license. I'll talk about the variations in that shortly. But look, the short version of the Zero story started by an ex-NASA engineer 20 years ago who basically made a powered mountain bike with a 2 kilowatt battery. So you guys would have an idea of how small that is.
Yep.
Through to today's bike where we celebrate with a 80 kilowatt, 190 Newton meter bike that has a 21 kilowatt battery. So that's the quick evolution of it, in between lots and lots of difficulties and changes and bumps along the way. But I'm the marketing manager for the Australian arm, the distributor for Zero motorcycles, and it's been a hell of a journey. I've just ticked over 12 months, and boy, we've got some stories to tell in that small amount of time.
And so, is it? How's the trajectory? Are people buying the EV motorcycles? What are we? What is it? Is it the sales sort of pitching the same sort of level as electric cars, or how are you travelling?
Well, that's a really great question, because the thing about the electric cars, as you guys would know, as soon as you jump in an EV car, the performance difference between that and petrol is so stark that it's really almost an easy sell. Yep. But motorbikes were already blindingly fast. So getting a motorbike that's significantly faster isn't really a thing. Now, that said, our 0 to 100 times are the best in the market. Not just EV, but in terms of vehicles. So we already know that, big torque figures and all that sort of stuff. So performance-wise, we're close. But, you mentioned Harley-Davidson. They brought an electric bike that kind of bombed, not because it was a bad bike, it was amazing, but because there's a lot of brand loyalty. There's a lot of naysayers in motorcycling, as there were in the car market. But where the car market has evolved, where people go, I just want the best thing, people are still very brand conscious and so on, and tradition focused.
It's fascinating because you think about, you would argue potentially that Porsche, for example, could fail in that same way, but I think they approached it very strategically, the way they brought the Taycan to market, to create a sidearm for their business, essentially, that grew very, very well for them, whereas Harley-Davidson maybe didn't sell it correctly there. So who do you target then? Who's the Zero buyer? Is it a green conscious person? Is it a someone who's worried about emissions or sound? How do you get them over the line then?
Well, the things you just mentioned are the exact things we never talk about. We never talk about zero emissions or tailpipe emissions. We never do that. We don't talk about sound because they all love their loud noises. And our bikes aren't silent. The motors are out in the open, so they make that sort of turbine whine noise that you might be familiar with. And we are belt-driven, so that the belts also make a bit of sound as well. Okay. Where we're selling, look, 90% of our owners already own an EV car. So there you go. There's a simple marketing plan for you. Something I didn't know 12 months ago that I wish I could tell myself. So they are, look, if I'm going to talk an archetype, it's an electrical engineer with an interest in motorcycles, cars, solar, renewables, all that. Yeah. They've been a big sort of area of the market. But what we call the conquest purchases, that is to say people swapping across, that's come off the back of demo rides. And demo rides are the cornerstone of our marketing campaign, not unlike every other EV vehicle. What I love it when people go, hate the idea, hate the concept, hate everything about it. And I go, well, we will give you a $50 bounty if you ride it and hate it, and I've never paid it. I had a guy come out of a Harley store when we were doing a demo day, and I said, would you like to go for a ride, sir? And he goes, they're not even a motorbike, mate. Like, he was convinced. Yeah. And I said, well, if you hate it, I'll give you $50. And he went, oh, too easy. Jumped on it, went for a ride on our demo program, came back, and it's a pretty common response. He did 2 laps walking around it, just swearing the whole time after he did it. And not angry at it, but like, what just happened? Right. Yeah. And he looked at me and he goes, you can keep your bloody $50, turned around and walked off. Wow, and I was like, I'll take that as a win. He's never going to buy one, but he's accepted that the future isn't all that bad. So that's been the interesting thing. But look, we are making slight inroads. Our bikes start at $13,000 on road for our base model bike. But look, I want to talk to some about the challenges that, I didn't know what we were going to have, and some of them a bit esoteric to the market. But for example, we want to have a couple of learner bikes. Now, in Australia, there's a program called LAMS, Learner Approved Motorcycle Scheme. Right. And basically, they do a kilowatts per tonne. So you 200 kilo bike with let's say 50 kilowatts, you multiply that out to a tonne, so 5, you multiply the watts by 5, 250, it's got to be under 150 kilowatts a tonne, and that's a learner bike. So it's a pretty good number to go with. We have heaps of bikes in that category, and in New South Wales, we have no LAMS bikes because they've just got a blanket 25 kilowatt law.
Really?
So
even though it strategically in calculations makes it, you say essentially the legislation hasn't kept up with the market. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And what I've discovered is a very four-wheel centric view of the EV world. It's almost like they couldn't fathom the idea that there would be electric motorcycles, so why would we need to cater to them or even think about it?
Yeah.
And then come to Victoria, and their EV rule, their rule for lambs is it an EV? Yes. Well, then it's a lamb's bike, which means technically our sports bike that does 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds is ready for learners. Now, we can't withdraw it. It's just someone could buy it and it's legal for them to do that. So, the incongruities. So we've got Queensland with a power to weight ratio, ACT with something in between. Victoria is a wild land where anything's legal, and New South Wales, nothing's legal. And then the smaller states have followed New South Wales because they released a big paper about why it was going to be that way. And their plan is to revisit it in a few years. And as you guys know, EV years are dog years. Why are we waiting 14 years?
Yeah. Speaking of years, and I want to talk about improvements. Like Zero's been around for a little bit. What sort of improvements have you seen? Range, charge speeds. We hear all about them on the EV side. Is that the same thing happening on the motorbike side too?
Now, there's a little split in the road here. So, for example, with our biggest battery being a 21 kilowatt-hour battery, in fact, our stock battery is a 17.4, we only offer level 2. There's no DC charging, and that's due to battery architecture and things like that for motorcycles. But I've described DC charging for motorcycles as a fire hose into a shot glass. Because we don't, 550 kilowatt charging, you've got time to go to the toilet. But also real estate on a motorbike is really valuable, and you don't have the luxury of stacking in extra charges and so on that you might have in a car. So the current, and also all our bikes are air cooled, and they've kind of cracked the code on that because air cooling makes a massive difference to servicing because you don't have to flush water, liquid cooling systems. You don't have a water pump and all those sort of associated things. So that's the big advance is our latest model. We jumped up another 20% in battery size and dropped 10 kilos in weight. So, and that's a pretty common theme. I'm sure you guys see this pretty across the board. Increase in capacity, a reduction in weight. And now our weight is around the same as similar sports bikes, but with basically double the torque of the nearest sports bike. Wow. So our 0 to 100 ability is, and that's what we call street ability. That is to say, it's not a race bike, but it is outstanding. And its ability to do that with 2 people on it, with luggage, with a variety of things, is unhindered because torque just punches through all those sort of things. And
range is similar to a regular petrol bike?
No, we're probably around the same on certain bikes and a little short on the longer range bikes. So, and again, all that requires, as you guys know, you pull out your plug share app, you plan your trip, off you go. And some of the traditionals regard that as an incredible imposition. And I'm like, well, it is and it isn't. Yesterday we did our staff Christmas party, the 5 of us, and we did 400 kilometres. We stopped down here in Victoria at the RACV club in Hillsville where they had 5 charges. We charged 5 bikes for a sum total of $10, and then headed off and did a big 250k loop back home again. So it's all possible. There's a little more planning required, but every day we talk about new technology arriving and faster and better batteries, and it just keeps happening.
The thing that I'm interested in is price. Now, you're very transparent on price. 13.2 is your entry level, but I know nothing about motorbikes. So one of my gripes and concerns about the electric vehicle market is the price parity that doesn't exist, obviously, between an EV and a petrol car, but it's the gap that I'm constantly monitoring. I believe the gap is still $15,000 between an equivalent petrol and electric car, and that's a big leap. What's the gap between an equivalent motorbike that's petrol as opposed to electric?
Look, I'm not going to gild the lily. We're higher again because you're not 15 grand more. So we like an entry level bike. Is that like $3 grand or is it 10 grand?
No,
you'd be looking at about 8 for a good entry level lambs bike. So ours for 13. And Trev, you run out the numbers. Look, Rego for our bikes is between $150 and $300 cheaper. In ACT, as you may know, it's free for the first 2 years. Right. Green loan will get you down for 0. So there's lots of advantages, and our service intervals are 2 years and $200, but high performance motorbikes need 10,000k major services at $1,500. So over 5 years, we're between $5,000 and $8,000 cheaper. So we kind of bridge the gap that way.
You've still got the same thing where you're saying cost of ownership is where the value is.
Yeah.
You've got to talk 5-year ownership if you're from a marketing point of view, you've got to talk 5-year ownership. But I think as someone, a prospective buyer, you're mad not to think about the 5-year ownership option.
Course, yeah.
Also, motorcycle world has very short warranties. It's 1 to 2 years maximum. We're offering 5 years on battery and 2 years on the bike. And to be honest, we just fixed a 2015 bike for free under warranty, and that's 9 years old. So, our expected battery life is between 250,000 kilometres and God knows how far. We don't really have a number. No one's ridden one that far yet. I know in Carland it's happened, but, the current generation of bikes, for a lot of people, 40,000 Ks is a lifetime of ownership for a single bike, 4 years, 5 years, because it's not necessarily a high kilometre thing for a lot of people. But that's been that side of things, because we run a belt drive and they're a 40,000 K, $500 replacement. It really drives the cost down. And, we sort of laugh because our batteries are small, getting EV deals from your electricity retailer isn't really necessary when you've only got to charge 10 kilowatts. It's not an F-150 Lightning in the driveway. It's a tenth of that size.
Charge 10 kilowatts on a granny charger in an hour.
Do it in a couple of hours, that's right.
Let me say this. I know nothing about bikes, but you look at the website and, mate, they're all good-looking bikes.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing where, cars went weird in the early days, and now still many cars, like even the Mercedes design is different. There's a different design mentality for the EV market. Now, obviously, there's a different design broadly, but, I assume the bike owners love the look of these things as much as they do the ride.
Yeah, and look, the goal was always to make something that would be familiar. So to the degree that our naked bikes, that is the ones without fairing, look a bit like a Ducati, is probably no accident. It's a really common, there's other brands that do naked bikes as well. But to the degree that you've got to look for the exhaust pipe and go, oh, that's not a petrol bike, is kind of a tick. Yeah. And so that's been a deliberate design aesthetic. If you look at the Australian brand Savage, who are slowly but surely coming to market, they've made a decision to go in the exact opposite direction and do a very esoteric, perhaps odd-looking. I often think it looks like a vehicle from a Star Wars movie. Not that that's a bad thing, but it doesn't instantly strike you as a motorcycle.
I'll take that.
So, but that's been a conscious decision from Zero to make bikes that are kind of familiar to long-term owners and buyers.
Well, I think Trevor and I should work to get our motorcycle licenses. And
I'll get a divorce if that happens. My wife not happy with that concept.
Banned?
No.
Are you banned?
I'm banned from being on two wheels.
Is that right?
She's concerned about the safety.
Oh,
and I'm an idiot, so it's probably a smart move.
Maybe not the best time to talk about that during.
No. But I tell you what, I wouldn't
with Zero motorcycle.
I'm with you though. I feel like it's something to understand.
I would love to do it.
Yeah,
and funny enough, my wife doesn't care.
Yeah,
so I'm good to go.
She wants you to get one.
I'm good to go. Yeah.
Well, to that end, gents, our learner end of the bikes have incredible, because they've got no gears, as you guys would know, and the throttle control's really good, and you can adjust the regen settings to suit the style of riding you do. We actually think they're a great learner bike, which is why it's so disappointing to miss out.
That's one of the reasons I wouldn't ride a motorbike. The clicking up and down. I'm not going up or down now.
Tom, though, I got to ask. Right, this is going to be the dumbest question you've been ever asked.
Let's
go.
No.
Do you still do the twisty on the handlebar to twist your arm? Is that still exist on the electric bike? It's not just a button. You're not just pressing a button like a scooter. You're really going, aren't you?
That's not binary. You don't turn it on and fire yourself into the middle of next week. No, and that's one of the big challenges around building electric bikes was the throttle control and the torque, what is effectively a torque controller to make them really smooth off the bottom. Because, as I said earlier, we've got double the torque of a regular bike, and you can't just let the rider have that off the bottom.
No. You know what? Some scooters do that. Some electric scooters are stupid like that. Really, just boom, you're off quickly. But so you're saying that you can ease the throttle up. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Nice.
And just
and ours have.
Go on.
Yeah, go on.
No.
Well, I was going to say they got Bosch traction control, and the Bosch traction control is the same as they use with a petrol bike and indeed in cars. Right. But instead of it limiting the spark plugs and the fuel injection, it limits the amps to the point where on one of our bikes in the wet, you can just jam the throttle wide open, it'll work out all the details for you, and off you go. So it's really an easy bike to ride and super safe.
Still not selling Trevor on the idea, mate.
I mean, I want to experience it. I really want to experience it.
I'm going to get my motorcycle license in 2025.
There it is.
And I'm going to do it. I'm going to ride this. I'm going to ride a bike, okay? So, Tom, you got to look after me there,
I'll get you a bike. Well, the only issue, you're going to have to come to Victoria because...
And I'll ride it home. I'll ride it all the way home.
Yeah. Perfect. But, yeah, so these are the... And now, one other thing I wanted to mention, guys, the number one driver for EV sales, in my mind, has been novated leases, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you guys...
Definitely.
Guess what you can't get?
We hear it all the time.
Yes, true.
All right, guess what you can't get an EV motorcycle on?
Really?
Spewing.
Oh,
Again, it's just an oversight where they didn't think of it.
Yeah.
And EV motorcycles are great for two reasons. They don't take up as much space, and they're EV bikes. So, and they're small charge batteries and all those things. So our struggle's been, because we know our bikes, especially at the premium end of the market, we've had people look at them and go, "Oh, I've got a Tesla Y. This would be great to go with that. Can I get this on a novated lease?"
Isn't
and you're
that
like,
funny?
no.
You did mention, Tom, that the attachment rate with people, you said 90% of your owners have got an EV already. Is that what you said before?
It could be higher, but yeah, about that.
Isn't that interesting how they've already got an EV and they go, I might as well get an electric motorbike as well?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And they jump over the questions everybody else asks, because people who commute in an EV don't ask about range. No, but they don't ask about range because they charge at home. Yes. And our bikes, we have data from them of our owners in Australia. 95% charge exclusively at home, not just occasionally,
100%.
Exclusively at home. Yeah. So range anxiety for people who know is not a thing. I need to go 20 Ks to work. Well, this will go 250 Ks. And they're like, I don't care.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. It's a real misnomer, but it's the most important friction point. That's one of the reasons we do the show, just to keep talking about it, because
people ask. Yeah.
It's on everyone's mind.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the education is there, but it sounds like in 12 months for you in the job, you've learnt a stack about the market, and therefore you've got a great opportunity to tap into that existing EV owner and grow the business in that sense in Australia. It sounds super exciting. I love the transparency of the website. I love the look of the thing.
Yeah, they look good.
Stephen's getting his license next year, so he's gonna get through the L's, and then he can ride a zero, mate. That's the plan. It's official.
Yeah.
Tom, great to chat, mate.
To you.
We'll circle back when old mate's got his P's, I guess, once you're off your L's, and we'll get him.
Is it 3 years on the P's, mate? Like a car or what?
I don't know.
No, fully licensed is 1 year.
Oh,
it varies. So state again. We're back to the variation state to state. If you've got your full driver's license, it's usually 1 year. But anyway, you'll have to check your local guides.
Good on you, Tom. Great to chat,
Thanks,
mate.
Tom.
Cheers, team.
Good on you. No worries. Well, that's awesome. I mean, the thing is, it's a market as you can hear, we have no idea about.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping you're all listening and learning at the same time as we are.
Like every day's a school day, including today. But I like the fact that 90% of sales, or even higher, to EV owners already, so they know the deal. But also to all the other things, like it still makes a bit of noise. Because I was thinking, a silent motorcycle is probably the worst thing you could have.
When you think about it, the electric motor in your car is hidden underneath a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
There might have been insulation there, but in a bike, it's just exposed.
Yeah.
Plus the belt drive and all that stuff.
Belt driven, true.
The website we've been staring at during that chat is zeromotorcycles.com.au. Check it out.
Some nice looking bikes.
It was literally a message via the text line 0477 657 657 if you have a story to tell about electric cars. That's how Zero got in touch with us. I think it was Trent from their team here in Australia got in touch and said, you got to speak to Tom.
Yeah.
The man knows his stuff.
And we did. So it was interesting.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back shortly. More on Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Thank you very much to NRMA Insurance and Union and Smart Dash Cams. Great to have their company as always and support. And we hope that if you're buying a dash cam, you're considering a Uniden one straight up there on the windscreen. And if you're looking for insurance, I don't think there's any other insurance company that insures more people than NRMA Insurance with electric vehicles. They are one of Australia's largest insurers of electric cars.
Absolutely.
0477 657 657 is the number to call if you want to get in touch. Send us a text, send us a WhatsApp. We will coordinate to get you on the show. Greg got in touch. G'day, Greg.
How you going, guys?
Mate, very well. You've hit a topic that's very near and dear to pretty much every EV owner's heart, and that is reliability of chargers. Tell us your story, mate.
Okay, I went to Mackay, which is about 1,000 k's away. It was in summer, the heat of summer, and I'm on my way back. So I went from Rocky and I stopped at Camilla. Thank God I stopped there. And then I went on to Marlborough to charge up there as well. I got there and there's coolant running out of the backside of it. So I rang up ChargeFox and they told me, yeah, it's out of order. So then I looked at how much I had in the car, and I think I had around, I don't know, 50% left of my battery. So, okay, I worked it out. I need to do 80 k's an hour, wind down the windows, no air conditioning, put on cruise control and just cruise in the Rocky, 108 k's away. And I got into Rocky at 8%.
Whoa.
Okay.
That is narrow.
Cutting
and so
it
you
a little
essentially
fine.
were relying on this Marlborough one to get you through your journey. That was part of your plan.
Well, you have to, because from Camilla from Marlborough to Camilla's 144k, and from Camilla to Rocky's 108k.
Mm-hmm. And what's the range on your car? What do you got, an Atto?
Atto 3. So I'm probably I usually sit on 95 k's an hour because I just like that, and I'll probably get 350. You're starting to look at where the hell can you stop.
Mm-hmm.
So,
The 350 is a lowish number, but it's on a freeway. That's a reasonable number. What's your city range like if you're around town? Do you do primarily highway driving because of where you live?
No. Mostly in the city. Mostly.
So you would get 400 plus normally?
Yeah. But I never allow my car to go that low.
Right.
Like I always try and keep it in the range of between 30 and 70%.
Yeah.
And so how long have you owned the Atto 3?
February 23.
Okay, so you obviously used to, sort of what the range is and how far it can go. Generally, do you charge your charging situation? Do you charge mainly at home or at public charges near where you live, or what's your situation?
No. I live in a house. I got an undercover car park for the garage, and I got a 15 amp charger. I just plugged that in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
Probably once or twice a week. Yep.
So have you essentially had to avoid that site, or is it back working? What's your experience with the site outside of that one occasion you noted?
Okay, so yesterday I thought I'd do a bit of a project for you guys. I worked it out. There's been 153 people go to that charging station over a year. Okay. And over that time, it's only been 35 times working in 12 months.
Wow.
What are you using for that?
Plug share.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's only working 32 times in 150 plugins.
It's down. That means it's down 70% of the time broadly.
Yeah. And not only that, right? It's weeks and it could be a month before they fix it up. So what I've got there is probably not correct, because people know within those country regions, don't bother going to Marlborough because it's not even work. It hasn't worked for a month.
Yeah.
Who runs the site?
ChargeFox.
Yeah.
Or is it, what's the name? Eureka?
Eureka. Right. Okay. Yeah, because we had Rob from ChargeFox on, and he had, to be honest, and with the greatest respect to Rob, who's a brilliant talker, I didn't still fully understand the concept of ChargeFox because they don't own the chargers. They just run the network and have the app. So we need to find out whose responsibility it is. And I actually,
they're
to be honest,
like the landlord.
I think that's part of the. I don't even think that's the best way to put it. I really struggle with the analogy of what ChargeFox is versus Eureka versus the property manager. Like, there's just so many different people involved in it. So, yeah, I think it's a tough one, and I think that that's why I love PlugShare. I think it's a great way to look at whether an app, whether a site is in use, and
working.
working because a lot of people will report a site as being not working.
It hasn't worked for a while.
So as recently as yesterday, not working.
Not working.
Wow.
Yeah, not working. And even in Rockhampton, right? When I got to 8%, I went to Rockhampton. It would only let me charge up to 60%, which allowed me to get to Mount Larkham. So I took off to Mount Larkham and filled up there.
Right.
So, and I asked the guy from Eureka, the people, the number on the charging station. I said, "What's the problem? Is it just too hot?" And he said, "Yeah, we can't handle the heat."
Wow.
And the chargers can't handle the heat. That's why the killer's running out the arse of it.
Yeah, right.
So you know what? It might it's inconvenient to you right now, but that's proper like learnings for ChargeFox and these charge companies building chargers to suit the environment, to suit where they're located. Because there are good people who want to travel up to those parts of Australia. They want to be able to charge. So
it's a pretty critical part of the whole EV experience, especially for someone living where you do.
Yeah.
Because you would have, when you took the punt.
I live here, but I travel up there to see my daughter.
Yeah.
I could not try to see my daughter 1,000 k's away.
Did you?
And I'm in a wheelchair, by the way. I'm in a wheelchair.
Oh.
And I rang up RACQ. I said, I'm on my way to Rocky, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have a bloody a charger on the back of a truck? And they said, no, we don't have any chargers on the back of the truck outside Brisbane.
Wow. I mean, it's one of those things I would say, weirdly, sometimes you got to say the EV's not for me. And, Greg, the simple question I've got for you is, if you had your time over, would you buy an EV again?
No, I'd probably buy C-Line 6?
Plug-in
hybrid. Yeah, hybrid.
Yeah.
It does 1,000 odd Ks, 64 litres, 1,000 Ks or 90 Ks in the city.
Yeah, could be the winner. All right, well, Greg, I'm going to get clarification shortly, but I think it's look, regardless of the situation, it's just another reminder that this is so important.
We've got a long way to go still.
It's so
we've
important
still got some work to do
things.
And you know what? And you know what? I've got to say, mate, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You talking about this on our show, people are going to hear this, and hopefully things get done.
Yeah, well, I did ring about other things like. At Mount Larkham, I couldn't put the charging cable back in the slot on the charger because I'm in a wheelchair. So I just left it on the concrete. And I did do an email to Mick DeBinney when he was in charge, and nothing got done. Like, that's too hard for that type thing. So, it's still the same. So when I go to Mount Larkham, I leave the cable on the concrete and hop in the car and go because I just can't put it back.
Yeah. All right.
Well, they've heard you now, mate. They've heard you now.
Accessibility is just as important as just getting the chargers working, mate. Thank you for getting in touch with us. We'll follow up and we'll keep in touch, mate.
Well, it goes back to do it right the first time. Then you don't have to go back.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for getting in touch.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, no trouble.
No worries at all. Yeah, now, that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, that was and the fact that he's in a wheelchair too, weren't aware of that, but it just adds to the percentage of difficulty, really, doesn't it?
I mean, it really does.
It does really.
All right, so look, here's the thing.
Would test your patience as an EV driver.
Inside baseball, Greg texted a few days ago.
Yep.
I told him we'd get him on the show, and I didn't want to create a combative situation because there's no point arguing the case. That's Greg's lived experience, right?
Exactly.
So I reached out to Rob Asselman from ChargeFox, and he wanted to firstly reiterate something to me, which he told us when he was on the show.
Yes.
Which is that ChargeFox, and this goes to what we were just saying, provides software services for charger owners and an app for drivers. So that's how to think about it. ChargeFox provides software that connects chargers to the network and apps for drivers to actually use it.
Yep.
In this case, as Greg said, Eureka, which is actually YUR !KA, real easy to spell. Eureka provide the actual service, right? So fortunately, Rob connected us with Anita from Eureka, and this is what Anita has said. She's spoken to the team up there regarding that station. She said it's true, and I'm reading this verbatim. I hope she doesn't mind, but it's written to me like a statement anyway. It's true that in June 2024, it was experiencing some issues. Now, Greg said it was in summer, so I feel like it might have been a year ago, to be honest.
Yep.
The charger had reached its end of life after a few attempts to repair it. It was replaced with another RT50 charger in July 2024. The new charger experienced some communication dropouts. This was identified and the modem upgraded. Since July, the charger has been available at 94.4% of the time, with the communication faults that she mentioned accounting for the 5.6% downtime.
Right, okay.
It's ranked 10 on PlugShare,
Okay.
which is its highest user rating.
Yep.
And this is fascinating to me. She has made the point that their team at Eureka has talked to PlugShare to rectify some incorrect information on the platform because it's still listed as being under repair. This should be removed. I suspect this is what's causing ongoing concern. And she says, unfortunately, as a third-party platform, we can't update this.
Yeah.
And here's I'm a massive fan of PlugShare. I use it all the time.
Yep.
But this is from a charger operator, so maybe this is a frustration we're hearing. While PlugShare is a great tool to use, we do recommend you check the ChargeBot's platform for the most updated information.
Yes.
If I check it right now, that site is fully available.
Yep.
So it's available right now when he said it wasn't available yesterday, but he was probably looking at the PlugShare app. Now, what was the experience of the person on the PlugShare app? I don't know. Maybe it was unavailable because someone was there. Hard to say. Really, really hard to say why something happens. But I'm pretty impressed with the response there from Eureka.
That's pretty transparent. They're upfront with all that info.
Yeah.
But good to see that they've repaired it, and that 94.4% uptime is pretty good.
I'm looking at it on PlugShare now.
Yep.
It still does say under repair,
Really?
which is frustrating
And on
for Eureka.
Chargefox.
So I'm wondering whether, firstly, Greg just went, I've looked it up and it says under repair, so it's still not available.
Yes.
But what I always do is, and I'm going to say the first comment, the first one is actually our previous caller, who's very opinionated on the subject. But at the end of November, the Model 3 charged there. In middle of November, someone charged there.
Yeah.
The problem is it's a very small number. There's no way that – so the last 4 check-ins, discount Greg because it was just a comment, 30th of November, 17th of November, 13th of November. It's not like it's getting PlugShare use every day.
Right.
So if every single user was updating PlugShare, then maybe Greg's data would be true or trusted.
Yep.
But
so
unfortunately,
you're saying that the downtime would be the uptime would be far more if everyone updated. The uptime
I'm
would be
more
greater.
likely to remember to complain that a charger is broken
than
than to remember to
compliment.
plug in and say I'm here charging.
Right.
I only really log into PlugShare and say I'm charging when I know I'm going to be 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
If I'm there for 15 to 20, I just plug in and go. I don't care. I'm not going to log in. I'm not going to worry. But I like to let people know if they're using PlugShare that I'm going to be here for a certain amount of time.
We live in a society, as George Costanza would say. We live in a society. We've got to help each other.
And you know what? Just quickly before we wrap up, there's that etiquette thing we've talked about a lot.
Yes.
But I was charging I was going to go to 100% with the Cooper because Jackson took it down the coast. And so the night before I thought I'll take it up to Ampol, I'll juice it up. And I sat there for 30 minutes and got it to 90. And then it was going to be another, it's normally longer, like another 15 minutes to get to 100.
Yep.
So I'm in the car. I think I went over the road on Macca's, right? So I'm eating fries.
Nice.
And it's at 91.
Yep.
Whatever I did, I finished. So I went to the bin and put my stuff in the bin, walked back, and a Polestar had pulled up. And I thought to myself, I am not going to make this guy watch me charge 10%. So I unplugged. And I went, you know what? 90% is enough, Jacko. You're good. Sometimes you've got to have the etiquette to go, there's one charger, there's 2 of us.
Yeah, you got to share it.
Let's move on.
If there was another 5 there, you'd think, do your best. But
yeah.
If there's one to share, then that's good. You know what? It's like the courtesy you show on the road. You know, sometimes you let people in and you do stuff like that.
Sometimes you don't.
You need to share. The road is there to share. The charger is there to share, as they say.
I really appreciate Greg getting in touch. I want to hear those stories because
not everything's rosy.
I was just going to say it's not all roses.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are we thinking the same?
Yeah, there you go. We're connected. We're plugged in together. We're plugged into the same charger.
That sounded inappropriate, if I'm honest.
You
Two
know
Blokes
what I mean.
Talking Electric Cars. We'd love to have your feedback. If you've got a dodgy charger experience, it's a real-world experience that other people should know about, get in touch anytime. 0477 657 657. Stephen Fennick, Trevor Long, we're here to take your calls, help you out. So send us a text or a WhatsApp 0477 657 657. Stephen, we'll see you again next time.
See you next time.
See you, mate.